You talk about energy management. Tell us a little bit about what energy management is.
I'm sure somebody's got a super eloquent definition for energy management. For me, more than anything, it's just it's being aware of how you feel and how you're responding and what you're thinking in relationship to the world around you. And so for me, energy management is paying attention to how things land in me. Do they irritate me? Do they make me feel good? If it irritates me, then kind of digging into that as to why, instead of the more traditional unconscious way of responding is that irritates me, so you did something wrong. And so then I'm going to attack you or name call or whatever. Well, from a consciousness perspective and from a higher spiritual perspective, it's about noticing. It's about just standing in presence and paying attention to what we're feeling and thinking at any particular time. And then the things where we're triggered or that don't feel comfortable, working with that energy to figure out how we can calm ourselves instead of making it about the outside. Look, people are going to post and say and accuse and name call all day long, and there's nothing we can do about it. But managing our energy is pulling back from those things and sitting more in neutral and saying, well, look at what they said. Look at what, is there any truth in that? And self excavating is, if there is truth, is there something that I need to change? Or is that making me feel bad or less than or weird or whatever inside? And digging deeper into that. It's learning how to respond in a more compassionate, at least neutral perspective that doesn't end up creating a sword fight of who's right and who's wrong. And so hopefully the positive part of energy management is recognizing what's going on in your inner world, but also taking the high road when you do get in situations, really trying your best to reach up a little bit higher than what your normal response would be.
You referred to a lot of emotions. You referred to feeling irritated and feeling
Yes.
a certain way. So,
Mhm.
energy management and emotional response. I mean, I really want one in the same. What occurred to me while you were talking was the emotions are an expression of the energy. Because if
Yeah.
you're angry, that is a high vibration energy. If you're sad or feeling victimized, that's a low vibrational energy. Managing the emotions also helps you manage the energy.
Beautiful way to say it. So basically, it's learning to maintain not just the emotional, but also the mental, the thought process. And so, learning to maintain more emotional and mental flexibility to where you're not as easily triggered. It's you just notice. It's like, oh, that's what they think. Oh, that's what they think. And not necessarily having anything to do with you. And most importantly, recognizing fear. What did you just say earlier? Everything either boils down to love or fear. So if it's not love, then it's got to be fear. So if you're threatened by someone else's opinion or what they believe, the trigger comes from fear because there's something about their way they're thinking that you don't necessarily want to be that and do that and live that way. And so it triggers fear. So then you want to attack it to make it go away. That is recognizing the fear because ultimately that's the reason, that's the base reason for the trigger.
It is. There's a lot of fear going on right now. I think that's the state that many of us are operating in. That's why there's so much stress and anxiety because of the fear of the unknown. I mean, that's the shift. Again, having the awareness around the fear, the energy of fear, which can be debilitating. The energy can just be paralyzing, which most of us are muzzling, self-muzzling because of fear. I mean, it's exactly what's happening.
Well, and the fear creates anxiety and depression. And so that's one of the reasons that we need to be aware of it because if we don't become aware of it, it's going to continue to be unbalanced. It's going to build and it's going to get worse, which makes us more imbalanced, makes us more unhappy, makes us more anxious, makes us more depressed. We can't shove it in the closet. A lot of us are medicating it away. When you've got anxiety and depression, and I'm not a psychologist, there's a bazillion reasons that things go wrong in your mental and emotional makeup. But one of the reasons is because we're not living in alignment. What we're doing and what we're saying are two different things.
Yeah.
And so we are divided within our own selves, let alone from people outside of us. When you start practicing these kind of things, this awareness, this presence of, oh, isn't that interesting? That really kind of triggered me. Why did that trigger me? And looking at that and neutralizing it, then hopefully trying to take a higher road of, okay, I understand that now. So now that emotion has bled away and I'm not feeling as up in myself. Before I had some energy up in me, but now it's like, oh, okay, I see that. And so what's taking the higher road? Part of it is asking, what would love do now? What is love saying now?
Yeah, choosing love over fear. It's easier said than done.
It is, but it's a practice, right? You at least point yourself in the direction. It's kind of like sex. With sex, the more you have, the more you want. The less you have, the less you want. It's kind of doing that. The more you practice, the better you'll get, the stronger that muscle will get. But if you don't practice, then you're just kind of left with what? The muck? I'm going to practice because I want some silver linings out of this muck.